You may not be aware, but at this very moment, a real economic war is taking place between the two largest world powers. On one side, we have an already established superpower trying to maintain its control. On the other side, we have a country that less than a century ago had a predominantly agrarian economy but has experienced one of the most astonishing GDP growth rates in modern history. The United States and China are daily trying to demonstrate their economic sovereignty. Some experts are predicting that we might currently be at the beginning of a new Cold War. And the consequences? Well, they will probably change the world as we know it. In today's video, you will learn more about the confrontation of superpowers, the silent economic battle between the US and China. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and activate the notification bell to stay updated on the latest news here at Visionary Businesses. Also, leave a like and comment if you are aware of this economic conflict and which country you believe will come out victorious, the United States or China? To better understand how these countries have come to this economic clash, we first need to understand how the United States became the world's leading economy it is today, as well as how China has been causing significant disruptions, particularly in recent decades, threatening that same economic sovereignty. The economic dominance of the United States. To grasp how the United States reached the status of the world's largest economy today, we need to go back a bit in history, specifically to the years 1944 and 1945. After World War II, the United States emerged as a dominant economic superpower. This post-war period witnessed a remarkable transformation of the American economy, driven by various factors. One of the main contributors to the rise of the United States was the relatively favorable situation the country found itself in after the war. While Europe and Asia were devastated, the United States emerged from the war with its industrial infrastructure intact, as no combat occurred specifically on American soil, even though the country played a key role in the conflict. This allowed the United States to position itself as the primary supplier of goods and services for the reconstruction of the nations affected by the conflict. Another factor that influenced this economic rise was the United States' adoption of a policy of economic expansion and support for its allies through the Marshall Plan. Launched in 1948, the Marshall Plan consisted of a program of financial and technical assistance to Europe, with the aim of rebuilding its economy and strengthening trade ties among Western countries. This program was crucial for the recovery of European nations while consolidating the economic and political influence of the United States in the region. Another important aspect was the industrial and technological leadership of the United States, as the country excelled in mass production and productive efficiency, driven by technological advancements and innovations. Key sectors of the economy, such as the automotive, aerospace, petrochemical, and electronics industries, thrived during this period. Large-scale production allowed the United States to meet the growing demand, both domestically and internationally, solidifying its position as a global leader. In addition, the United States financial system, centered around Wall Street, played a crucial role in the country's economic ascent. Wall Street became the global financial epicenter, attracting investments from around the world and providing access to capital for American companies. With this constant flow of investments, there was a strong stimulus for economic growth and business expansion in the United States. However, the true factor that contributed to the United States' economic rise was the creation of the Bretton Woods system in 1944. This international agreement established the US dollar as the primary international reserve currency, anchored to gold. This provided monetary stability and confidence in the United States as a solid economy, facilitating international trade and the country's economic influence. Over the following decades, the United States maintained its position as an economic superpower, continuing to lead technological innovations, attract investments, and establish advantageous trade agreements. Until the year 1978, a new player entered the international trade. It was in this year that China opened its market to foreign trade. China enters the game. In recent decades, China has undergone a remarkable economic transformation by adopting policies of openness and transitioning from a socialist economy to a market economy. These changes have had a significant impact on the global economic landscape and China's position as one of the world's major economic powers. China's economic opening began in 1978, during the period known as the Reform and Opening Up, and under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, China implemented a series of reforms aimed at modernizing its economy and attracting foreign investments. One of the key measures adopted was the creation of special economic zones, which are delimited geographical areas with more flexible regulations and fiscal incentives to attract foreign companies. This allowed China to benefit from the transfer of technology and foreign capital, driving economic growth and industrialization in the country. China also underwent significant changes in its ownership system, which encouraged entrepreneurship and innovation, driving the growth of the private sector in the Chinese economy. Another important measure was the liberalization of foreign trade, as China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, opening its borders for trade with all countries. All this trade openness in China created an incentive for its population to specialize almost exclusively in industrial work. And this abundant and relatively cheap labor force made the country the world's manufacturing hub, where practically everything we use is made by Chinese industries, leading to a decrease in the prices of manufactured products worldwide. Certainly, you use something that, if not made in China, has some parts manufactured there. But that's where another problem arises. This abundant labor force led virtually every major company in the world to use Chinese labor, creating a dependency. It has been some time since China practically has control over the so-called production machine, where either a company uses Chinese labor or it cannot maintain competitive prices in the current market. This means that practically any multinational corporation necessarily relies on Chinese industries for manufacturing their products. This is the case for giants like Apple, Nike, General Motors, and practically any company in the textile and technology industries. This has caused China's GDP to grow tremendously, at around 9% per year since its market opening in 1978, but it has also given the country indirect control over these companies. If China decides to stop producing for them, the cost of their products increases dramatically, and the competition easily surpasses them. As a result, many countries around the world have begun to worry about their dependence on China, especially the United States, which now sees China as its main competitor in terms of economic sovereignty. The situation became even more delicate recently with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Russia-Ukraine case has become more than a conflict between neighboring countries, with serious implications for the global economy. What happened was that while much of the West, influenced by the United States, cut their trade relations with Russia after the invasion, China did not comply with this Western convention and did the opposite. China took advantage of the opportunity and intensified its trade relations with Russia during this period because it no longer needs Western support, including that of the United States. China is now capable of standing economically on its own, considering that the rest of the world depends on China in the current scenario, and not the other way around. In this way, the economic battle between the United States and China is becoming increasingly evident, with the question of which country will truly become the sovereign superpower in the coming years still at the forefront. A significant point in this whole story is the fact that the United States may lose the current sovereignty of the dollar, as China has been encouraging all countries that want to negotiate with it to use the yuan, the Chinese currency. This is the missing piece of the puzzle that will allow China to economically surpass the United States once and for all, and it seems that in the coming years, there will be no shortage of that. Thus, China is establishing itself as the global economic hegemony. This confrontation between superpowers has been happening for some time, but the silent battle between the United States and China is becoming increasingly evident, along with the evidence of which country is performing better. Currently, China is demonstrating significant economic power along with increasingly evident control over the global supply chain. The fact that the country goes against what the rest of the world adhered to in the Russia-Ukraine conflict shows that they are prepared to face the possible consequences of their demands. But do you believe that China will truly dominate global trade? Or will the United States, along with the dollar, continue to dominate the world economy? Share your opinion in the comments, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so and activate the notification bell to stay updated with the latest content on visionary businesses. And if you're still not convinced of China's economic power, I highly recommend watching the video that is appearing on your screen right now. I'm confident that you will be surprised by what China has been planning for some time now.